It just takes some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride, and everything will be just fine, everything is gonna be alright. It just takes some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride, and everything will be just fine, everything will be alright.
Oh wow, great. Dead fish.
Alright, perfect.
Which one do you stop? I don't remember. The red one again?
Which what?
Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, and welcome back to the channel. And today, if you guys, this is another DCU video. Now, I know this has been a long time coming for those of you that I told you about this review, and I wouldn't really call this a review. It's more kind of an understanding, so to speak, of what's really going on with the DCU. Because for the longest time now, right? The DCU has kind of been penned as this, massive DC reboot to kind of rival the MCU. And because of that, people have had, really high expectations. And so far, we've had Creature Commandos, which I regrettably have not seen yet. I gotta see that. We have Peacemaker Season 1 and Season 2, which I also have to see. And then, of course, there is Superman 2025, which I think is one of the best DC movies ever. I think it's an amazing film. Easily the best interpretation of Superman. And I know every time I say that, people are going to be like, oh, you hate Henry Cavill. No, I think Henry Cavill was great, but I think that David is just better. And then, of course, we're getting Lanterns, and we got Clayface, and we got Brave and the Bold, and we got, all this other stuff, right? So the DCU is off to a start, right? People would argue it's a strong start or a weak start, but it is off to a start, right? And one of those newer elements is, of course, Supergirl. And I had the pleasure of seeing this movie a few weeks back now. And this isn't necessarily a full-on review of the movie, but I'll get into it, and then I'll kind of talk about the whole intentions of the DCU moving forward. I think that the movie was good, right? I think that it was a decently, pretty good movie. And I'm really shocked that, of course, no one saw it. But there's a few factors as to why, right? Now, obviously, there are certain people out there, right, that see a woman and they go, oh my god, it's woke, right? And they freak out. So you get the sexist people out there that see a woman and they go insane, right? And then you get the people that probably never touched grass and never had a woman in their life and never anything like that, right? And they call Millie Alcock, the actor that plays Supergirl, right? They call her ugly and disgusting and not feminine and gross, and, she looks like a dude. Obviously you've probably seen the memes, right, of Supergirl. She looks like a effing Neanderthal caveman, big-ass forehead, and she's kind of got the buck teeth like Mater, and she's, really freaking ugly. Google Millie Alcock, right? Not just like Supergirl, but like just Millie as a woman. She's not ugly. She's an attractive woman. Is she the hottest woman ever? No, but she's not even close to being ugly. I think she's pretty hot. So I don't understand why people have to go and be like, she looks like a caveman. I get it, right? People are mad and they're insecure and they got to peddle that somewhere. And of course she gets, the brunt of it. But, if you kind of get rid of these certain types of people, right? And then you actually see the movie was good. And obviously the marketing for the movie was freaking terrible, right? I don't know what it is with certain marketing. We've seen it with other things we've seen it with Marvel, we've seen it with Star Wars, with like The Acolyte, right? Where the interviewer is like, hey, tell me, for instance, right, Supergirl was like, tell me about your movie. And she, instead of talking about the acting and the writing and the action and the story and the sound design and the CGI and, all this, the shit that people want to see and want to hear you talk about in your interview, people like Millie have to go, well, actually, Supergirl is bisexual. And I'm like, why would, why? I don't want to get, ultra political, but it's like, if you're out there peddling this woke trash, like, oh, she's into girls, or, oh, she's bi, or, oh, all these things that, no one cares about, don't come crying and be like, oh, why did our movie bomb? You know what I mean? So obviously the marketing was not good, okay? It wasn't. Acolyte, same thing, right? Now, I know I'm the only person, I know this isn't true, but I feel like I'm the only person in the galaxy that actually enjoys The Acolyte. Thought it was one of the best Star Wars shows ever. I thought it was genuinely incredible. And if you watch the interviews, everyone's like, oh, it's so gay, man. It's so lesbian. It's so queer. And then you watch the show and there's one lesbian couple, but they don't even kiss. Like, Andor's more woke. It's really weird, you know what I mean? And the marketing screwed everyone, because now they're going, oh, well, that's a woke piece of trash, and no one ever gave it a chance, even though it's a beautifully well-made show. It's awesome, right? Supergirl is not as good as Superman, okay? I'm not going to lie and pretend that that was like the best DC film ever, but it was good, okay? It was far better than what the internet said. Also, Millie screwed it by saying, oh, it's not for men. Right, or something about Christian fathers or conservative Christian fathers were gonna hate this movie, or I don't know. Like, Millie's full of trash, alright? She's just an idiot. She might be good as Kara, but she's an actual idiot. Like, you don't go into your marketing and your interviews and talk about that trash, because then you wonder why no one effing sees your movie. You know what I'm saying? So, it's really odd to me, and I if I was James Gunn or Peter Safran, you know, the two guys in charge of the new DCU, I would probably be throwing a fit behind the scenes, not just because the movie made practically no money, but knowing that it made no money. Yes, you know, you're always going to get the sexist people that claim, oh, it's woke because there's a woman, or oh, the people that are bullying her by making her look like a caveman, right? Those people, marketing can't change that, right? Some people are just stupid, and you can't change them, right? But you can still change certain people who were on the fence, right? Don't talk about how she's bi, which, by the way, that doesn't even show up in the movie at all, right? It's not even, the movie's not woke. I'm just going to come out, like, I saw them, I paid money to go and sit in that theater with a few other people, and I can tell you the movie isn't woke. It was a good movie. But, again, the marketing would have you believe otherwise, right? Same thing. Oh, the movie's for little girls. It's for girls. If you're a man, don't see it. I know people in my life who were like, oh, I'm not seeing Supergirl. And I said, why? It was great. And they're like, oh, well, it's not for me. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a superhero movie. It's DC. He's like, no, it's for girls. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, they said so. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. I'm like, dude, literally the opening of the movie, and again, no real spoilers, but the opening of the movie starts with two brutal kills, and then there are swear words, there are drinking and drugs and literal sex trafficking, which, yes, that's in the comic that inspired the film. It's nothing graphic, but it is present, right? You get action scenes and cool music. I mean, it's like you get Lobo, right? He's smoking cigars and blowing shit up. It's literally the opposite of a movie for girls, right? Yes, there are girls in it, and there's a main character who's a woman, but the movie is not targeted toward little baby infant girls and, like, tween-age girls. It isn't. Like, I saw it. I'm a man. I'm 27. Whatever the hell I am. I'm old, right? And that's like, yeah, okay, well, I kind of went into this like, oh, hey, is this a movie for little girls? And then, like, a minute in, I'm like, oh, no, it's not. And then I just kept getting my point proven correct. So, yeah, again, the marketing screwed the pooch big time on this movie, like, really big. And again, I blame the box office because of sexist AI trolls and, of course, bad marketing, right? But again, if you saw the movie, I'm not saying everyone in the world will love it, because movies are subjective, but I myself really enjoyed it. Again, not as strong as Superman, but it is a good second outing film-wise for the DCU, right? I enjoyed Kara. I thought she was a really cool character. I like that she's more cynical than Cal. And she's kind of, viewing the world as kind of like a cesspool, right? Like, oh, I'm just going to go get drunk and party and, nothing really matters type thing. And then obviously there's an arc with her in the movie, which is really nice. The bad guy, Cream or Creme of the Yellow Iron Hills or whatever his name is. I know everyone in the world before, leading up to this film, they were like, oh, he's a really bad villain. He's really bad. Everyone, literally every, and I don't even listen to reviews. But, like, the 4 or 5 that just popped up on my feed, I looked at, and they were like, oh, it's really bad. Like, the villain's really awful. He just kind of moves his head, and he makes, like really weird smirks and noises. And then I'm like, oh, shit, this isn't good. And then I watched the movie, and he didn't do that. And I was like, oh. I mean, yeah, he moved his head, because, he's alive. But I was like, the way these people worded it, like, Creme or... Yeah, they called him Cream in the movie, but Creme is like, I imagine he was like an old Lego game, right? Where like they just pantomime and they just make weird noises and they move their head. But no, like he was like, he had good dialogue and he was, yeah, I mean, his motive wasn't the best in the world. He was just a pirate trying to kill because he's a freaking pirate. That's what they do, And he was evil. I mean, he kills a kid. I mean, he's like a really evil person. He's a person that you want to die, right? He's a good villain in the sense that, yeah, maybe he's not as well written as, say, Thanos or Kylo Ren or, I don't know, Steppenwolf, right? In the DCEU, but he's a villain that you want to see get his comeuppance, and, when he does in the movie, it's like, oh, this is good, you know what I mean? Good, you deserve that, you know what I mean? So in that sense, I thought he was cool. Now, he didn't just stand there making weird sounds. He was a formidable threat for Kara, and I think that the guy did a pretty good job. CGI, good. I thought it was a good time. Obviously, there's one or two shots with every modern superhero movie that are a little bit wonky. I think a lot of people were kind of mad about Crypto kind of looking a little wonky. I didn't really notice that. I mean, obviously, Crypto isn't a real dog. You can't get a dog to act like that and, fly. So, there's that. So, obviously, some, liberties had to be taken. But I think Ruthie was cool. At first, I'll admit, she was a little bit wooden. She was kind of like Star Wars prequel acting, where she just kind of stands there and, like, doesn't emote at all. She's like, Padme in episode 1 and 2. She just kind of, like, stands there, just, like, looking into the abyss. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm sitting there like, oh, she's not that great. But then she kind of grows on you in the end, and I think she's there for a reason, and she teams up with Kara for a reason. But I think that she's probably the weakest link in terms of the acting. But again, that's not a drawback majorly, where it's like, oh, don't see the movie. I don't even know how old Ruthie is. I thought the girl from The Mummy was like 8, but she was like 22. So maybe the girl who plays Ruthie's like freaking, I don't know, 28 or something, and she plays an 18-year-old. I have no idea. I never heard of her before. Maybe she's in other stuff. I got no clue. But she was just fine. You know what I mean? Jason Momoa back as Lobo for the first time. I thought that was cool. I've always liked him as Aquaman. I think I could do without the high-pitched screaming that he likes to do in some of the movies. I'm actually doing a DCEU rewatch just for myself, but I think I'm on the Suicide Squad now, so that's my personal thing. But I think that the DCEU was good in and of itself. Maybe I'll do a reflection or a tribute or an edit or something afterwards. But I think he was pretty good as Aquaman, right? I mean, before Jason Momoa was Aquaman, right? Everyone in the world thought Aquaman was a big weirdo, wussy, right? Oh, wait, he talks to fish? That's a stupid superpower, And then, the movie actually made him cool and, relatable and have a good arc. And I think Momoa isn't the best actor in the world, but, I think he does a good job as Lobo. I mean, the dude really, he just definitely looks like the guy, you know what I mean? Like, it's perfect casting. And Jason always wanted to play him, so I think, that was always good as well. So I think, he did a good job with that. The action's great. I think the action's really good. I think that I did not read the comic book that it is inspired from, but I do know the comic is very vibrant and colorful and beautiful looking, like the artwork. And the film itself is looks good, but there's a lot of, gray and black and, dusty areas. I noticed that a lot of comic book films, right, Endgame, and even at the time of recording, even the new Avengers Doomsday trailer has a lot of that. I don't know, it's just something you can't really. I'm gonna make a Doomsday video soon, but you can't really avoid that. I can't change it, right? I can't tell the editor to make it more colorful. But I think the movie, it looks good. Cinematography wise, really good as well. Choreography was good for the action. That needle drop scene, obviously you've seen my rendition of that at the beginning of this video. I don't think. I'll admit. Okay, look, I was sitting in the theater. And when the song started playing, I went kind of in my head, I'm like, oh, that doesn't... I kind of cringed. I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. But I will say this, right? A lot of people, I would say 95% of people that hate, for example, Star Wars, right? The new Star Wars stuff, especially the sequels. A lot of people that bring up, like, points against the sequels, or they... show a lightsaber battle from the sequels versus the prequels, and they're like, oh, look how bad it is now. There's two words that people do not have when they are reviewing Star Wars or watching it, and this can also be applied to this film. Context is the first word, and lore is the second, right? Context and lore is very important in your film, right? So the context of the scene and why that song is playing works. If you actually watch the movie and don't just shit on it because of the memes, right? If you actually, watch the movie with your eyes and your ears open and use your brainstem and think, it does make sense why they played the song. Maybe is it a bit cringy at first? Yeah, because you're not expecting it, right? It's a weird rendition of a song. But for the context and fitting the lore of the film, it does work. And again, I know it's a big punching bag, and the internet makes their memes, and they catch like freaking wildfire, and it just encapsulates the whole thing and destroys everything. But again, to watch the movie, it does work. So I think, me personally, while Supergirl maybe not as strong as Superman, I think that enough elements in Supergirl works where I feel like Supergirl is coming back in Man of Tomorrow, which is Superman 2, right? So it's not like, oh, the DCU is canceled, right? But obviously, this movie being such a bad film box office-wise might indicate, yeah, Clayface and, Lanterns with the streaming numbers and all that, Man of Tomorrow, whatever the fudge they're doing with Batman or Wonder Woman, right? The DCU is off to, I would agree, yeah, it's off to a bit of a rocky start, right? I mean, the DCU canonically starts with an R-rated animated show. And then it goes into a PG-13 movie, and then it goes into an R-rated live-action show, and then a PG-13 live-action movie, and then another R-rated live-action show. So it's good that they're getting teenage up and adult up, right? That's good, but at the same time, I feel like, it is kind of strange. And I know the DCEU did that as well. Marvel's doing it too. I'm assuming I really do want to get an R-rated or an MA Star Wars show. I mean, we've gotten stuff that's edging the line of MA with Star Wars. If you actually watch the new Star Wars stuff, like it's much more brutal and violent than anything before the Disney buyout. So we're pretty itching to that. But I think in terms of DC at least, we've stepped into that territory for sure. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they move forward, right? Because while Superman wasn't a box office hit, it did well, right? Supergirl did the opposite of that, which is a shame because it's actually a good movie. And, if people actually gave it a chance instead of, memeing on it, clowning on it, and going, oh, well, the actor said it was woke, so I won't watch it. It's like, we've gotten to this era of film review and film critique where people listen to critics and internet memes more than they do their own actual concrete objective opinions, which is not how you consume media or art, right? If you like DC, you should probably see the new DC movie, right? Now, obviously, maybe the movie doesn't speak to you in the way that another one does. I get it, right? You're not obligated to see everything. But I think there are certain people that are definitely swayed by the internet to be like, oh, I don't want to see this because, people told me it's bad, or people told me not to see it. Or my favorite YouTuber said it was the worst thing ever, and it's DEI, woke slop, whatever, AI slop, whatever they want to call it, right? So I'm not going to see it. But you know what I did? I said, okay, well, the interviews are weird, and they're claiming it's for little children girls. So, okay, but hey, you know what? I like DC. I think Supergirl was kind of interesting at the end of Superman. I liked Superman. I'm going to support the DCU. And I took my little DC-loving baby boy self to that theater, and I sat down, I watched it, and I said, hey, that's a good movie. Then I went home, right? And life moves on, right? So yeah, I feel like if people actually gave this movie a real chance, now maybe when it hits streaming, when it goes on Blu-ray or whatever, I'm obviously gonna buy it on Blu-ray, but maybe it'll take on a second life. Some movies do that. I don't know, but yeah, the DCU I don't know if it is DOA, right? Dead on Arrival, but I feel like it is in a little bit of trouble, right? Marvel has always kind of been in a little bit of trouble since Endgame, I would say, in terms of certain people. Which is a whole nother video, but myself, I love Marvel, so I will support anything the MCU does, right? I will watch it, and I will give maybe it's bad, I don't know, but I'm gonna effing watch it, right? I will support the DCU. Maybe it's bad, but I'll watch it, right? I watched Supergirl, I like DC, I want to support DC, right? Am I more excited for Spider-Man, Brand New Day than Supergirl? Yes. But Supergirl didn't look that bad, and I saw it, and I enjoyed it. It's pretty straightforward and easy. So you'd be kind of, surprised what you can do in life when when you kind of shut that out. You know what I'm saying? And again, not everybody. Maybe you are like me. Maybe you saw it with an open mind. You didn't like it. That's fine. Opinions happen. But there's just that certain minority, man, that they, they get swayed, and then look, oh, the movie bombed, but it's actually good, like Evil Dead Burn is not doing as well as Evil Dead Rise. I think it's better, so it's really, really odd how that happens. Certain movies are really great and they just don't make money. And certain movies are trash and they make $1 billion, right? Like I never would have imagined Obsession to make this much money. Now, I haven't seen it yet. I do have the Blu-ray because I couldn't see it in theaters. The movie didn't look good. It just didn't. I saw the trailer in theaters and I went, oh, that's another horror movie I'm not going to see, right? It's like that weird one with the monkey and whatever that's like hitting the chimes or whatever. I don't care for certain horror films. I saw Evil Dead Burn. I loved it. I saw The Mummy. I loved it, right? I saw Send Help. I loved it. So I do like horror movies, but Obsession just didn't look good to me, and I ended up buying the Blu-ray just to see what all the fuss is about, so maybe I'll review that. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy what certain movies will do, and some do great and some don't, but I think Supergirl's one of those movies where I think it should have done a lot better than what it did do, performance-wise. And yeah, it's just a shame. So I think the DCU has a lot to prove, right? Not to me, but for a lot of people, right? Like, I think the DCU's in a pretty good shape. I think, again, I can't, it's hard for me to say that because I haven't seen Creature Commandos or Peacemaker, but I just, I got to get around to them. I don't have streaming. I just have Disney Plus, so I got to buy these Blu-rays. But I think, for what I did see with the DCU, I'm going, like, James Gunn is a great director. He's a weirdo, but he's a great director, right? So I think that, he clearly knows how to make a good movie. And even though he didn't make Supergirl, he has some kind of, his dirty little monkey hands are all over the thing, right? So, I mean, I think that he can kind of understand what goes into this film. And, yeah, it's not perfect, but I think, like I said, it definitely should have done better than what it did. And I think that ultimately, because this movie bombed so bad, the DCU was like, they're playing catch up with themselves, and they literally just started. Like they're jumping out of the gate, and they already fell. You know what I mean? They're running, and then they tripped over their own cape. Right? They tripped over themselves, and they smacked the freaking floor, and now they're trying to pick themselves back up. So Lanterns has to be a success. It's an MA adult show, so that's restricting teens, and I know no one gives a shit about that anymore. No one cares about ratings, so little kids are going to watch it, so really, I don't even know why I just said that, right? Parenting's gone down the pooper, so I think that they're probably going to let their babies watch Lanterns, and, I think that that hopefully will be good. Clayface is a horror movie, so an R-rated horror movie, so again, that's restricting people, which it won't, but theoretically it is. And then, of course, you get, Superman 2, and I kind of understand what they're doing, but I want to see who the next Batman is. I want to see who the next Wonder Woman is. I want to see who the next, I want to see Hawkman. I want to see freaking Plastic Man. There's so many DC characters, and I like Superman and Supergirl and Lex Luthor and Peacemaker, and I like all this stuff, but I think they should start doing bigger things, like give us a live-action Teen Titans, give us, something, right? Because people just didn't want to see Supergirl. And again, I know the marketing was garbage, and memes are, all those things I already talked about, but it clearly shows, right? Like, a lot of people just don't care, which is weird, right? Like, I get it. I'd rather see a Batman movie over a Supergirl movie, but I enjoyed it. I paid, $12 for a ticket or whatever it was on sale, or I don't know how much it was. Movie tickets aren't that bad, so I paid for it, and then I, sat there and I watched it, and I had a good time, so, like, I'll get it on Blu-ray. It was a fun movie. So, I'm satisfied. I'm geared up for the next DCU thing. I'm ready, but there are certain people that are just like, oh, this is dead on arrival, you know what I mean? So, you get people that only trust how much, if a movie doesn't make money, it's inherently bad, and if it's not $1 billion film, it's not worth your time, or, whatever. So, like I said, the moral of this video, I guess, is if you're mildly interested in DC, or you're interested in some kind of franchise, or even just a film, right, or a video game, or a movie, or a book, or a song, or, whatever, right? And I know money isn't infinite, but if you have money, and you're interested in something, like, watch it, or play it, or listen to it, or read it, You might like it, you might not, I don't know, but that's up for you to decide, not some random guy on the internet, So, again, I think for the people that kind of push this film off as either woke garbage, or it's for little girls, It's not either. It's actually like a really good movie. Not perfect, but it was really good, and it's a shame that it's bombing. So, again, let me know your thoughts on Supergirl. Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And why? Again, not a perfect film, but I thought it was pretty decent, pretty good, actually. And I think that I'm very much excited for the DCU moving forward, but there are definitely, some hurdles they got to jump to kind of win over certain groups of people that, they really shouldn't have had to do that in the first place, but, this movie definitely did set DCU back. So we got this new stuff coming out, man. It's got to be a success. Pretty much all of them, or if everything's bombing, right? If Man of Tomorrow bombs, then DC they might just throw James Gunn out the freaking window. You know what I mean? They might send him back to making Marvel, or he might do Guardians 4 at this point. I don't know. I think he's a great director, but if your movies aren't making money, then what do you do? So at the end of the day, movies and shows and all that, right, everything. This is a business. They are making these things to make money, which is hard to say because, there is passion going into these things, right? They're not just churning DC films out to make a quick buck. They clearly care because movies, believe it or not, take a lot of effort to make, right? It's not just some dude in his basement. So I think that there's a lot of effort into these things, and it just sucks where you have, all these people working on the effects and the writing and the acting and the sound design and the music, and then it just makes no money. Theoretically, right, the DCU could be screwed if things keep following suit like this. So, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm intrigued. I'm into it. Again, as a massive Star Wars has never been better. Marvel, I think, has been doing pretty good. There's a few things that we'll kind of talk about in a future video coming up now that Doomsday trailer's out. And then we've also got, DC, which, again, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the Batman Part 2, which is probably never coming out. But, who knows? So, yeah, I think we're at the stage where they really got to be careful and they got to watch what they're doing. Because if they make no money, the DCU might be going bye-bye. You know what I mean? It might last even shorter than the DCEU did, which would be pretty bad. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on all this stuff down below in the comments. Going to have a video on Avengers Doomsday and the state of the MCU coming up very soon. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I almost hope you enjoyed me flopping around like a whale. And hope you guys enjoy. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe if you're new. I haven't had any subscribers in probably, it seems like an eternity, so hey, it's free, and it takes you 1 second to do it. So if you want to see more videos like this, and Marvel, Star Wars, DC, Lego, whatever, right, let me know what you want to see, and maybe I'll shout you out and make a cool video. Again, I am still on summer break, so I got some free time, so let me know what you want to see, and maybe I'll get around to it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.